Women's Aid, which provides support for victims of domestic abuse, opened a new fundraising store at 11 Church Street in Dundalk, selling a wide range of children's clothing. The Dundalk Democrat spoke to Lisa Marmion, manager of Women's Aid Dundalk, to learn more about the new venture and her hopes for the store's success.
Well, we did think about opening a shop in the last few years. We thought it would be an ideal opportunity to provide a separate income for the service and enable us to continue to develop the service for women and children who are experiencing domestic violence. But, you know, it's a big undertaking, so it's taken us till now to really, I suppose, really jump into the idea. The recession, I suppose, contributed to that, and some of the research that we did would have said that shops like this that are charity shops would usually flourish in a recession. And just, I suppose, the idea of it to make things accessible and the high standard of quality clothes that we have, make it accessible to everybody. We've got a broad range from 3 months to 18 years. We're deliberately stocking a very high quality of clothing, so we've got a range of different brands, a lot of designer clothing at a fraction of the price really. There's a mixture of new clothes and previously owned clothes. The proceeds of the store will go directly to the women and the children that are experiencing domestic violence. We traditionally have had a clothes store in the refuge for women and children who are fleeing domestic violence. They often present to us with just the clothes that they're in, sometimes without shoes, sometimes without coats. So that's one of the reasons that prompted the idea that even sometimes the basic needs are not being met for women and children who are experiencing domestic violence. We have a range of services for women and children, anything and everything from a child support project, transitional supported housing, crisis accommodation, a helpline, one-to-one support, court accompaniment service, a training project. So we try in every way that we can to meet the needs of the families that need support. So it'll go directly back into that and then help us even develop the services further.
All the hard workers that were here until all hours last night to get it all ready. And really it's down to the dedicated staff and volunteers and students that we have that make the work that we do possible. This is our latest venture. It's hopefully going to be a very successful venture for us because we need to continue to sustain even our services, but also to develop them. In a time of crisis when we've had a 35% cut in our core budget, this is our opportunity to supplement our income as well as provide a really valuable community service. After a year of struggle where we couldn't accommodate 111 families, but in saying that we responded to 100 women and 123 women in refuge. 28 women used the GLOW project and had great success in that. That's greater learning opportunities for women. We had over 600 helpline calls, almost 40 court accompaniments. 7 women and 4 children were accommodated in our transitional supported housing. 94 children used the child support project, the playroom project. So in all the difficulty that we had in 2010, we achieved so much as a group. And back to the staff, the volunteers, the students, that's what makes it possible. I'd like to declare, in the absence of any dignitaries, only of me, I'd like to declare this shop open to the public, and hoping that we make our first million by June. Well done, everybody.
You've got a couple of customers in already.
Yes, we've had our first sale.
What was that?
It was a little pair of booties. They were €2.
And what's been the reception so far from the people who've been in already?
Great. Well, they're surprised, which is great. I think they're surprised about the way it's presented and the care that's been taken with the presentation of the clothes. And I think maybe the standard has surprised people as well. we find that in times of recession, vulnerable people become more vulnerable. So that's another part of this project, to make sure that the cuts that have affected us don't affect the people who use our service. And in 2011, the issue of domestic violence is still very prevalent and has a far-reaching effect on women and children, that for the children that they carry into their adulthood. So it's a societal issue. It's not just a women's issue. That's how I feel about it. And that the more awareness that's raised about it, the more visible we are as a service, the more we can do to address the issue of domestic violence. So we'll talk about that all day long, if you like.